basketball team. Viewers and listeners, if you have a question for Ralph, put it in the feed and I will relay it live on air on the Jerry and Jerry show. Transfer portal, they're picking Ohio State players left and right onto this roster. Virginia.
Yeah, how about that?
Not bad. National championship. They're going after the leftovers from a national championship team may be key starters in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Well, it could be as bad as the ACC has become.
Here we got Ralph walking in the house here. Hey, what's up, Ralph? Good to see you, my friend.
There he is.
Good to see you. Good to see you. The show has not started. We got hot mics, but the show has not started. Take your time. Yeah. Can I get you a bottle of water?
Yeah, water's fine.
Fantastic. Make yourself at home. So good to see you. Good to see you.
Brad Cliff, good to see you, brother.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, like and share the show. Questions and comments already coming in from across the Commonwealth for the greatest hooper in Virginia basketball history, who is in studio and in the house. Like and share the show. We got some media watching the program right now. TV station down the street, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you kindly for watching the show. Judah Wickhauer, things are looking quite good on our end. Vanessa Parkhill, hello. Thank you for watching the program. Michael Guthrie, watching the program, hello. Olivia Branch, the Queen of Keswick, Olivia Branch. We love Olivia Branch.
Love her.
Yeah.
Hey, Olivia.
Olivia is always dressed to the nines, looking gorgeous.
Yep.
Just flossing, Olivia Branch.
Go see her at Keswick, because she's doing a good job out there.
She's a phenomenal person. Dave Warwick, the brewmaster at Three Notch, hello. Tom Stargell, the Golden Apple Award winner. Nate Kibler, hello. Andre Xavier in Richmond, hello. Scott Thorpe, the commercial broker, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to enjoy the program. We got media in Northern Virginia watching the show. Like and share the program. Judah Wickhauer, things are looking quite good on our end. We can rock and roll, Judah, when you're ready. If you could, keep the Facebook Messenger open for us. Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. We are live in downtown Charlottesville, folks, just a hop, skip, and a jump from the John Paul Jones Arena in the shadows of the University of Virginia. And today's program is going to start with a bang. Ralph Sampson is in the house. He's alongside the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, a household name, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, who needs absolutely no introduction. 50 consecutive ACC tournaments, in fact, 51 on the near horizon for Hootie Ratcliffe, if memory serves correct. We'll talk about that with the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. I already see questions and comments coming in. Hootie, this is your influence. It might be the influence of the man sitting right next to you as well, in Ralph Sampson. I told a story the last time he was on the show.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic story. Ralph was in the house, kind enough to join us. He walked out our studio on Market Street to his fantastic Mercedes-Benz, and as he was walking to the Benz, the man legitimately stopped traffic on Market Street. There were cars in either direction that stopped to take a picture of Ralph. Can we go to the studio camera? Ralph, you remember that?
Vividly remember. It was a lady outside.
It was.
Listening to the show,
Yeah.
and she knew I was in the studio, and she stopped in the middle of the street, parked.
Yeah, with cars behind
Cars
her.
behind a bus. I said, "Come on, lady, whatever." So she got the autographs. She went about her way. But yeah, that was a UVA Charlottesville moment for sure.
I had never seen that happen in the almost 10 years of us doing shows here. He stopped traffic in Market Street. Hootie Ratcliffe, that was something special.
It doesn't surprise me at all, because that's the kind of effect Ralph has on people, and it's always been that way and always will be. It's just that's being part of Ralph.
Viewers and listeners, you can
It was
offer
fun.
Ralph some
It was fun.
perspective, but we'll start open-ended. How you doing, Ralph?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here in Charlottesville for today. Just hanging out, and always good to come back where I have fond memories, and just excited about just UVA and Charlottesville and the state of Virginia. But it's fun. It's really fun for me.
We'll start with another open-ended question. Virginia basketball, what's going on from your perspective?
Well, Virginia sports in general, there's a lot going on, I do believe, right? So, basketball is in a transition, which we all know. Love Tony Bennett to death. I think he's one of the greatest ever college basketball coaches. Obviously I'm a Coach Howland fan, and so Coach Howland's number one, Tony Bennett's number two. In my world, Tony got the edge because he won a national title, which is great, but 15 years here. And I just love the guy. I love the way he handled himself. I love the way he took his exit. He knew it was his time. He took it when he, left his assistant coach at the job for the year. I respect that. He made the changes. And you can't just, there's nothing negative you can say about Tony Bennett. I mean, the family is good, wife, kids. Just love the guy. He's a very special person.
Who do you got? One more for Ralph, then you jump in the mix here.
Sure.
This is a straightforward question for you.
Okay.
Did Coach Bennett, who I adore, I think the name should be on the court right next to your name on the court of the John Paul Jones Arena, but here's a straightforward question. Did he throw Ron Sanchez a bone with how he left, or did he do Ron Sanchez a disservice with how he left?
Well, think about it. And I saw Tony in the middle of summer. He was excited about coming back. He was changing like the Hall of Fame area and John Paul Jones. Every coach I think goes through that era where, when do I call it? When did I pull the plug? Is there anything next for me? So at the end of the season, he's done this for years and said, maybe I should, leave and do something else. And when you lose and whatever, as coach, you got to get away from it for a minute. And then he got excited during the middle of the year. But, coaching, it's tough these days. It's not like you have seasons where you can take some time off. It's 24/7, 365 days a year, and the coaches have no time off with all the stuff that's going on and try to compete at a very high level. So I think he did Sanchez, Williford, and the coaches a solid, a plus, because he could have left right after the season, and they would not have the job. But he gave his respect to his coaches, and he just really, I think, had a hard time trying to make that decision early on. And realized that, this is his time to leave. And he gave his coaches the chance to coach another year, see if they can pull some things out, the rabbit out of the hat, basically, and see if they can, get on the stick and get a new contract. So I really appreciate what he did.
I agree with you. And, had he stuck around and obviously this team is not one of the better teams that
Right.
they've had. I'm not sure there's an NBA player on that roster, but had Tony stuck around for another year, people would have overlooked that while he's trying to rebuild the program. Ron's not going to get that kind of credit,
Right.
obviously, because he's a newbie. So he was put in a tough situation.
He is very tough.
No question about
Very
it.
tough.
And Ron didn't see it coming. I've talked to Ron, and he didn't know Tony was going to quit until
I
it
agree.
actually happened. And so, this is a program. When Ron came back here from Charlotte, he was hoping to build on what Tony had built and recruit more NBA players because they've got quite a few in the pros now, either in the NBA or G League or overseas or whatever. And things just unraveled in a way that nobody really expected. And, it's just a tough situation right now, and I'm assuming it'll be awfully hard to turn this around. I guess the best thing they can try to do is make the ACC tournament and ride it out as best they can. But I would imagine there's probably going to be a coaching change at the end of the year. And I hate that because I like all those coaches. They're all good guys, and I was hoping that they could succeed, but it doesn't look good.
You just said something like you got to be able to make the ACC tournament now.
Yeah.
Isn't
that something?
That's just weird, right? And
The bottom three teams, viewers and listeners, do not make the ACC
That is
tournament.
crazy.
That's crazy.
I don't like that rule.
You can have a play-in or something. I don't know. You can have something, right? But
Yeah.
you have to have play for something. The ACC tournament is and used to be the best tournament in the country, but now you got Stanford and California. I just don't know how it's going to pan out. I would have went after Memphis and UConn and the East Coast schools, so we have the rivalry, right? But I got to fly all the way to California and stay a week
In Dallas?
play, in Dallas and play, and then so education is. I stayed at UVA for 4 years. to get a degree. I mean, 1 year without getting, and I was on track. And so the education, meant a lot to me back then. It wouldn't mean shit to me today because you don't really have to go to school. You can play 1 year, get some money, and try to go to the pros and get NL. So,
or you can go to another school and get some money.
Or you can transfer and go in the portal, go and get some more money. So what education do I need today as a college athlete, especially in basketball, football, and baseball? What education? I mean, I may need some financial literacy, but I don't really need a education anymore. But guess what? All that money is going to run out at some point in time, and your education is going to fall back on. So where's these athletes going to go and get a real job for the rest of their life? So nobody's looking at that part to me, I think. It's ludicrous what's happening in college sports.
Dale Thompson says hello. Ralph Sampson, he loves you. Renee Pettiford watching the
Dale,
program.
how are you doing, buddy?
Renee is one of the biggest fans out there. She says hello, everyone. She's got the question that everybody's asking, and this is a good one for Hootie. This is a good one for Ralph. Ralph, we'll throw it to you first. Who do you think should be the new coach for next season? I'll caveat it with mine. Should there be a new coach for next season?
Well, I'll be realistic. I mean, I love Sanchez and Williford. I think they should get a shot at it, because they were thrown under the bus. Will they get a shot at it? I don't know. But my picks would be if they were still coaching, it's either Larranaga or Odom, because they know the history of U of A. But that's not going to happen. They retired. I talked to Coach Larranaga as they retired from Miami, same thing. Just gets tired of the shifting coaches, and they are pure coaches.
And you're talking Dave Odom here.
Dave Odom.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave Odom. Now, I'm coming back to that Odom,
Okay.
but Dave Odom, Coach Odom, my coach.
Okay.
And Dave Odom. But the two top ones that I would say is, number 2, Ryan Odom. He knows UVA. He was born and raised here. He's a great coach, VCU. I talked to Coach Odom about this not too long ago. I said, man, he'd be interested in UVA. I mean, maybe not. I don't know, but he's doing a great job at VCU. And then he beat Tony in a winner 16 game. So, give him some kudos for that. But I think the coup here is Rick Carlisle. Rick's got a house here in Charlottesville now. Rick's daughter's going to UVA now. Wow. And I don't know if Rick started the NBA, but I think with the culture, having an NBA coach that can coach NBA players may attract some players to come to play for UVA because he's there. Just like Belichick at North Carolina. That may happen, but do you have the NIL money to compete with the big boys to get those type of players? I don't know, but Rick would be my favorite. I hear there's a secret player and staff committee that's trying to pick coaches. I'm not on that committee, so I can say what I want.
Former players. From
what I know, I have no clue.
We've heard similar rumblings.
I've heard that, but like I said, I don't know who's on that, and I'm not privy to all that stuff, which is fine. But I think Rick Carlisle would do a hell of a job, and I think he would fit the status quo in Charlottesville because he may be connected to all the big money guys in Charlottesville that may do some more NIL because he's here.
Marcus Edmonds says Rick Carlisle would be ideal. He gives Ralph a lot of props. He says program needs new energy. Renee wants Rick so badly. Rick Carlisle, with your daughter Wendy watching the program. Hello, Wendy. We love you. You're a hell of a real estate agent.
Real estate agent? I need one. I'll call her.
Call Wendy.
Wendy will set you up, yeah.
Hootie Ratcliffe, Rick Carlisle.
I've always liked Rick Carlisle. I think I agree with Ralph. I think he would be an excellent choice. I don't know if he's, like Ralph said, I don't know if he's tired of the rigors of the NBA or not. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he was. That's a demanding lifestyle, as you know better than I. And, a lot of people say, well, the NBA and college basketball is two different worlds. It is, but it's still basketball is basketball. And I think he would be excellent. He's seems to be a good communicator with players, and fans could relate to him. And I think he would be a good link to the financial community as well. I would have no qualms with that. I remember back when he first started getting into coaching when he was with the Celtics, I guess.
Yep.
And I think there was an opening, or soon to be opening, with Virginia at that point. I said, "Would you ever be interested in coming back to coach Virginia?" And he said, "Hell yeah!" But that was a long time ago, and a lot of.
Well, he's always politically correct. So he had to say yes at that point in time. But he loved Larry Bird. He loved the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, he bleeds Celtic green. And, he's a coach that, think about it, he won a championship in Dallas with Chris Cuban and that group, with Doug Nowitzki and some great players. But he goes to Indiana, and in a couple of years he's competing to play in the Eastern Conference Finals with some players that you don't even know their name particularly, but put them together and were able to compete.
Yeah.
Now, college is different. You got to develop, and Rick knows how to develop, players as well in the NBA. You got to take them, but he has a pool in the G League, so he can go get players. You're not going to have a pool here unless you go get somebody from another school. I mean, Duke, they buy them players. They get their basketball program makes about $50 million a year. So they have a different brewery, right? But you got to compete with the Dukes and the Carolinas and the Kentuckys with big money. And, we have Virginia, and we don't have that big money like they have.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hootie.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And, Rick's been credited for being an offensive genius, too. So that certainly would help if they're looking and going in a different brand of basketball instead of the style that they're playing now. And often that's what happens when you have a coaching change. They'll go for somebody who's somewhat opposite of what you presently have. But, yeah, I'm told that, at least in terms of getting a coach, that money is no object. Certainly, I don't know if that's the case with the NIL or not. I know NIL has been greatly enhanced in the last year, but, again, I don't know where that stands on the national level.
Like you said, and that statement is very valid, money is no object to get a new coach. Then, the players that are playing for you, NIL, is money an object.
Yeah.
So on one side you got money is not an object, and on the other side you got money is an object. So, and then there's no education. So, it's very hard for me to even fathom the college basketball system right now and the kids that are coming out and going to the NBA. I was talking to some guys in the NBA the other day, and they're like, when we played, obviously it was a little bit more physical and a little bit more tougher. But Kevin Garnett mentioned the other day, like, okay, you don't watch it anymore because you're watching G League players play against guys that's trying to develop their game at an early age, and all of a sudden now you have the NBA at the watered down version of what the NBA used to be.
Oh, it's so watered down. It's a 3-point shooting competition in the NBA right now.
All they do is run to the corners.
Yeah.
And they wait to shoot a three.
Yeah. Someone dribble drives, attacks the paint, kicks out to a shooter beyond the arc. Yep. That's the game.
That's the game.
And it's not pleasing to the eye.
It is not fun to watch. It is not fun to watch. I love the NBA. I love the NBA game. But think about this. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. All of them are 10-plus years old. LeBron's double 10, right?
Yeah.
When they leave, who are you going to watch? Because the highlight game on Saturday was the 8 o'clock game against LeBron and Steph on 8 o'clock on national TV. Steph didn't have a great game, but you want to watch that.
Absolutely.
Because they're competing.
Yeah.
It's nobody else you want to watch because you don't know anybody. You can't name 5 other guys on different teams that are compared to those guys.
I don't even watch the NBA anymore.
It's hard to watch. I love the NBA game, trust me, but it's definitely a worldwide game now. Wembanyama's coming, Luka and all those guys are coming, but will I really want to watch them shoot threes? Not probably.
Right. That's a conversation that's happening with the national media. Who's the next face of the league? Is it Ant Edwards as the new face of the league? He's got some swagger. He's got some chutzpah, but is he the guy? That's a really good question. And you talk about a legacy to live up to with Steph and LeBron. Who's going to be able to carry that torch, ladies and gentlemen? Questions are coming in incredibly fast right now.
Well, Anthony Edwards is going to have to get out of Minnesota.
100%. And maybe a lot of ways, and maybe he needs to get out of his own way in some regards.
True, at some point, because why he doesn't have he doesn't have a really good veteran behind him to 100%. Teach him the road.
Yeah.
And most teams used to have a veteran on the bench that's going to help people. Chris Paul in San Antonio.
San Antonio.
He increased his Wembanyama game tremendously, right? Over this past year, from last year to this year, so it's crazy.
Comments coming in quickly. This one, what is the top 5 short list with Ralph and Hootie for the next coach at UVA? You've kind of highlighted a few.
Yeah.
How would the pecking order short list look?
I mean, I think number 1 is Rick Carlisle. Number 2 is Ryan Odom. Other than that, I'm not in favor of anybody else. I've heard a number of the coaches, potentially Shaka Smart. I've heard that one. I love Shaka to death, but he's coached, at different places. He's a great coach, but I don't think he's that UVA culture fit. Think about Tony came here. He's a different breed. It took him a couple of years ago. They was going to fire Tony the first couple of years that he was here.
Yeah.
They weren't going to keep him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There were some
so
unhappy
he changed
people.
the culture here.
Yeah.
Over the years and start to win, and it's be hard for somebody else to come in and really fit and fill the shoes of Tony Bennett. Shaka is great, but I don't know if he can fill Tony Bennett's shoes.
Hootie, your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I remember having to write a story about the big picture with
Right.
Tony Bennett at that point because there was so much heat from
Yep.
the fan base about what it was going to look like in the future if he got it his way, which thank goodness he did. But with Ralph, I would prefer somebody like Rick Carlisle or Ryan Odom. I like both of those guys. I've heard Mark Few's name mentioned. I don't think that's going to happen. I've heard Shaka mentioned a lot. I agree. I'm not sure he's a fit.
I heard the Baylor head coach floated.
I've heard that, but I'm just not buying it. If he turned down Louisville and Kentucky last year, why would he come here? It doesn't make any sense.
Louisville and Kentucky got much more money.
Yeah, and it's
A lot more money.
so they've got a bigger arena. It's a bigger city. They can get anybody they want into school. I don't know if that matters much anymore. It does here. But
I mean, go back. Think about what Louisville did
yeah,
when they changed coaches.
1 year turnaround.
But no, they had some NIL money, which Louisville got a lot of Kentucky money, horse money, a lot.
Yeah,
Get rid of every player, get all new players, each one of them get an NIL deal.
right.
And I watched them play against Ole Miss early in the year, they got blown away. And then they come back and beat us, which is not a great match, right? By 20 here at home, and then beat us there as well. But, that's the turnaround you have to have, but you have plenty of money to do that.
Comments are coming in very quickly. This is a very good one. And this is from Tennessee. With the Atlantic Coast Conference being not the conference that it was, why would a coach come to Charlottesville to lead this program? I'll add some background to that comment. When Tony Bennett goes from West Coast to East Coast, Washington, State, to the University of Virginia, you have Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim. What do you have? Leonard Hamilton.
Jim Larinaga.
Jim Larinaga. I mean, you talking
Rick Pitino was in the league then.
the creme de la creme.
Yep.
Who is the creme de la creme now in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Only one left is Hamilton.
Yeah, Leonard. Brad Brownell is a decent coach. You got John Shire, a young guy at Duke, who's good. I'm not sure he's great. Hubert.
Hubert Davis at UNC.
Struggling a little bit.
Struggling, yeah.
Well, yeah, he's getting ready to be fired, supposedly, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
It's not the league it used to be.
So
by
that's the
any
question.
stretch.
That's the question. Why would a A-plus coach, a blue blood, come here for this job?
Well, if you ask me, I mean, that might not be a bad circumstance to come in because the league is yours if you can get things going. You may not be able to match up with the SEC right now, but the ACC is wide open for the taking.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because you come in with some new blood, with some new coaches, you can make your mark if you can win.
Right.
Leonard Hamilton was a great friend. He recruited me at Kentucky, and he's got a couple more years probably if he wants it, but he's going to be the next one to retire more than likely.
Facing a lawsuit right now.
Well, true.
Former players.
Former players with
Yeah.
NIL money.
Yeah.
So, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong, but he's trying to spread it around equally, but that's the nature of the beast. But we'll see what happens with that. But it's going to be tough. But you can come in, and if you can recruit and bring some players with you and make your mark, then you'd be the face of the ACC. But that's a big chore to do, especially after Tony Bennett. I mean, that's granted. When Tony came out at games at John Paul Jones, he got more cheers than the players.
Absolutely.
He did. He
got
sure
more cheers
did.
than the players.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be hard to beat.
Follow-up question for you. Does the philosophy need to completely change with Virginia basketball?
I think philosophy to change Virginia sports and Virginia in general. With Cat Futures and the hospital and things that's going on there with every school from Darden on different islands. From my opinion, Virginia used to mean something. It used to mean Thomas Jefferson, special school education, highly educational school. People want to go there for the academics and the sports. And now, to think about it, I toured the football new facility this year, and it's amazing. You can get players coming there now, and football now is turning the corner where they got like 20-some plus NIL guys coming in. So, that's a telltale year for football. But the facilities are amazing, right? But in that facility, there's no recovery room, and I didn't see an academic room. So all football players can stay there and be kind of warehoused as football. When we were in school, we were part of the school and the culture of the school and on grounds, and we loved that part. So I just think there's a disconnect between sports and the academic part, and I think they have to come back together and say, why can't, I propose a situation to some of the powers that be. I say, okay, why don't you got 900 students, create an endowment, give every kid $10,000 a year, $40,000 total, even the kids that are playing in the Olympic sports. But if you leave the first year, you get $2,000 or $3,000. If you leave, you don't get nothing. But every year it builds, but you got to graduate to get it all, because graduation has to mean something. And right now, to me, graduation at any institution from a college athlete don't mean anything. We can go on and on. Like the new rules with junior college, right?
Yeah.
I can go to school 4 years at junior college and come back and go 4 more years at a major college.
This was led by the Villanova quarterback who said that my time at a JUCO should not count because you're penalizing me from a name, image, likeness, earning potential standpoint.
Yes.
He won
that case.
He won the case and is coming back to Vandy where he's getting paid bank to lead the Commodores. Yeah, good for him. Props to him.
Great.
Yeah.
But what does that do for, so a high school kid coming out, high school senior, is not going to get recruited to go to D1 schools.
100%.
Ever.
Unless he's the 1% of high school athletes. You're 100% right.
They go get them overseas and come in already play in these NBA academies.
That's right.
Bring them over to Dukes and all the powers that be, where I can play and win a national title. But then this high school kid, poor kid's going to go to JUCO. That's be their training ground, right? And then maybe we'll get him to come up to the big boys after he's trained, because Tony said the same thing. I can't get a kid 1 year, the freshman, and then work with him, and then he leaves the next year. That's a waste of my time, right?
Yeah.
A waste of what we do from a player development standpoint. But now I can go to JUCO for 4 years. I can get 3 degrees, almost, by that time, right? I got 8 years to see if I can play. That's scary. Because the high school kids, high school basketball, and the whole AAU system is going to take a serious look at some point in time.
That's a hell of a take right there. Hootie, your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Every week I wake up and it's a new
right?
It's a new nightmare. Like the Penn State just hired the Ohio State defensive coordinator for $3.1 million. Think about that. And it's just, the SEC has controlled football for so long. Now the Big Ten's starting to use their money.
Yep.
Bigger schools, a lot more alumni, so much money. They're starting to use that to take over college football. SEC is taking over college basketball.
Yep.
Where does that leave the ACC and the Big 12 and all the rest? It's just become such a money-hungry, greedy thing. It makes me ill to think about it.
It's definitely money-driven for sure, and big networks, big advertising. Like the NBA did that $76 billion deal with Amazon.
Yeah.
Now you got to be worldwide. And now there's maybe a new NBA, European League that they're going to develop. It's going to happen sooner or later.
100%.
Right? Because it's all money driven.
Yep.
You're playing guys $200-300 million. I mean, Jimmy Butler's sitting out right now with the Miami Heat getting fined, but he wants a new contract. Making $50 million, but he wants a new contract and making $250-300 million.
Jimmy Butler is suspended for a third time by the Miami Heat, is legitimately losing $500,000 plus per game with his suspension, and care. Doesn't even care.
He'll go to arbitration. He'll get some of that back.
Does not even care.
Doesn't care.
Unbelievable.
He'll go to arbitration. He knows he'll go to arbitration. He'll get some of it back. And I got to manage trade because I'm going to get $300 million.
Yep, that's what he's trying to do.
You were born too soon.
I need to go back. I need to go back for sure and get a little bit of left on the table.
Born too soon. Let me this is a very straightforward question for both you gentlemen. Who is going to make the potential hire of the coach with Virginia men's basketball? Carla Williams' contract renewal completely flies under the radar to the point where Dave Teal and Chris Graham have to do a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request, to find out that they gave a renewal to Miss Williams, the athletic director, who I think is safe to say is a bit embattled with some of the fan base. Some of the fan base frustrated with the athletic director. Yeah. She's had tremendous success with the Olympic sports, the non-revenue sports. The football team is floundering right now. I would say Tony Elliott's coaching for his life, rebuilding a roster completely through the transfer portal. Let's see how that goes.
He has to. He has no choice.
He has no choice. Is Miss Williams going to make the hire? Is she the right person to make the hire? There's a lot of layers to this onion here.
Well, I look at it like this. Carla came the year or two after Tony Bennett. I give Craig Little Page a lot of credit, but Craig was my assistant coach, but he was splintered between old money and new money, so he went with the new money side when they was trying to bring U-Haul in and John Paul Jones. So, that's another story, another day. All the Olympic coaches, all the other sports were pretty solid, and I don't know how many coaches have changed during those years.
Not many.
Not many.
Not many.
Yeah.
So they've already been there. So you hire Tony's there, you win a national title, okay, great, you're part of that fabric. So basketball was stable. Football, she comes in, it's been not stable, so you have one coach, then, get a new one, and then then give them credit because you had the incident with the football players getting shot on that bus. So you got to give them a couple years, right, because that's hard. I'm not going to bring my son to UVA play football when I got these shenanigans going on campus. That's why I said the campus have to get around the sports and the campus. Academics have to get around the sports because it's disconnected. And then you got Tony, and then you got the women's basketball where you finally got a decent coach. The first hire was terrible. I love her to death, but she just wanted to be in her nice clothes on the sidelines and doing. But now that's pretty much fixed. So Carla has to prove herself, to make this happen. And her first hire of football is, I think he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I met him. We sit down many times. Unfortunately, that incident. I think he can coach it, but you got to get talent at UVA to want to come here, and that disconnect with university is causing football and basketball for guys that don't want to come. You know how many top players in the state of Virginia right now, the John Marshall, and all these other high schools in the state of Virginia, and they getting recruited by big boys. I saw a couple games already. And John Marshall High School got kids from all over the country coming to Richmond and living there and playing at John Marshall. And they can play.
Yeah.
They can flat play.
I mean, how about Chance Mallory?
They can play.
Right in our, 2 miles from here.
Chance could play point guard at UVA right now.
100%.
Right now.
He'd start.
He'd start.
Yeah.
He'd start. And whatever they try to give him, that now Tony's not here, he's waiting to see what's going to happen. I mean, hypothetically, if I was an ambassador with the state of Virginia or UVA, I would make some agreement where every player in the state of Virginia that's playing high school basketball at least gets a shot at playing at one of our institutions, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Richmond. But most of our kids go out of state because there's no school in the state that they want to go to. Mm-hmm. If Kentucky players, I want to play at Kentucky. North Carolina players, I want to play at North Carolina. We don't have that in the state of Virginia. And it's not been that way for years, right? So there's players here that can play. I've seen some of them, and they not knocking the guys we have right now.
Yeah, Nate Ament.
Yes.
#1 recruit in the country.
In the country.
From Virginia.
From Virginia.
He ain't coming
Are
here.
we recruiting him?
They were.
We were, but now we don't have the coach. Then so that coaching, that change got to. You can't make it during the season. Like, okay, Sanchez, we're gonna hire this guy, so you got 5 more games left. They make the ACC tournament out, but so that change got to be made very quickly, so they know who's coming in. So some of these new players coming in, or you're gonna have to go straight to the portal. But you gotta have some kids that are that can play in development, but you also got to have some kids from the portal. Because the portal's going to change every year. You got to get some kids that want to play here, that want to be a part of the fabric of UVA and be proud to wear Virginia on your front of the chest and not your name on the back.
And that's the way it used to be.
That's the way it used to be.
What do you think, Hootie?
Those are all valid points. And, you also have to worry about how much of this current roster is going to turn over.
Isaac McNeely is going to be offered a bag of money to leave.
Of their own volition, or if a new coach may not want some of these guys. He may try to run some of them off. But, if they could hold this team together and they could find a really good elite point guard like Chance, they don't have a lockdown defender like they've had, like Ryan Dunn and some of the other guys that have been in that succession. They can sick on the other team's hottest scorer, and they don't have a rim protector. If they could add those 3 parts and keep this team together, they could be decent next year, if not more than decent. But everything is just so.
And you got, like you said, you got a couple of players that could play serious roles. You get a point guard.
Yeah.
You got some big guys in there that can play offensively. It's a little bit hard for them because they don't understand it. Sanchez put in a hard spot. Sanders has got a body and can play. And,
yep.
It's just throwing the ball in the post a little bit.
Right.
Just throw it down there a little bit and let him work. And then, you got a couple 3-point shooters. They are spot-up shooters. They're not off-the-dribble shooters. So rearrange things a little bit. But I know we also used to Tony's system, and Sanchez is trying to mirror that system a little bit. But we got spot-up shooters. You let that big boy with that big body, and I'll be letting him pound people every day.
Yeah.
You get tired, you give him off 2 minutes, I'm putting your ass back in the game.
That's right.
So you got to readjust a little bit. So you got to nucleate if those guys stay, or you don't run them off and get more. But then you got to start them over. So you don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be hard.
This comment comes in from Earlysville. So much money in sports. I love sports, but it just gets me thinking, how much good could all that money do if it would put into scholarships? Does the TV revenue stay in the athletic department, or does it get spread around throughout the university? That's from Vanessa Parkhill. I'll add a little commentary to that. Virginia Commonwealth University has said this coming season, every player on average is going to make $400,000 on the roster, plus the scholarship, plus the meal plan, plus the housing.
Oh, all that combined.
All that combined. Virginia Commonwealth University. And that's VCU. Can you imagine what a Duke or a UNC or a Kentucky or a Louisville are paying their players? She's asking for some clarity in how the revenue is being spread around with the university, the players, and the athletic department.
I don't think anybody knows except the people directly involved in that, because they don't.
I don't know how you spread $400,000 per player. But a scholarship, right? Mm-hmm. That's living, food. That's all these things, right?
That's a lot of money.
Is that $400,000 a year or $400,000?
$400,000 a year per player for VCU.
I like to see those numbers.
Yep, that'd
be interesting to see those numbers and what they look like.
Yeah, Virginia Tech has said that starting in the 2025-2026 school year, Babcock, the athletic director, nearly $21 million will be spread throughout the athletic department with a focus on football, men's basketball, and women's basketball.
That's
$21 million.
That's all part of the settlement.
That's the cap.
Right.
That's the cap right now.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, that we're seeing a salary cap coming in some ways.
That's
going to happen.
It's
got it for parity purposes. Comments are coming in quick. This one's come in from Michael Murphy. Where do you gentlemen think Tony Bennett's going to be next year?
I have a serious opinion on that, and I probably should be quiet, but I'll make it anyway. But
okay.
Tony loved the game of basketball. his wife loved the sport, and from what I know, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they go overseas somewhere in a little village and start coaching over there because they're that type of people. But I do know Tony loves basketball, and for me, I think he should go to San Antonio.
The Spurs.
Popovich is a great guy. The owner is a wonderful guy. That would be a perfect fit for Tony Bennett to go either coach or be a part of that organization.
The owner likes Tony, right? I mean, aren't they friends?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Then he has Wemby.
Yeah, well, exactly. Got somebody who can play. I mean, he had to change his offensive philosophy up a little bit, but his defense obviously is great. He can get down there, but, does he want that lifestyle?
Doesn't need the money.
Doesn't need the money.
No.
Doesn't need money. But, with Tony, I don't think it's about the money anyway.
I don't think so.
I think it's about the pride of being successful and maybe winning. How many coaches win a national title and then go win an NBA title? It's like, Rick, you win an NBA title, now you got to come back and win a national title. So that may motivate him.
It could very well.
I mean, I'm coming back just to coach, just to be mediocre. Rick is not a mediocre guy. I mean, he's going to want to win.
Oh, yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, he's got a fire in his belly.
What do you think? Could he rack with Tony Bennett?
I wouldn't be shocked if he coached somewhere like W&L, because there's there's not pressure about the NIL and transfer portal and all that gobbledygook, and you're coaching for the love of the game, which is something.
Yeah, he loved the game.
That
it's in his blood.
No pressure, no media scrutiny. I don't know. He'll probably still be here doing whatever he enjoys doing. But I wouldn't be shocked at any of those suggestions.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a story if Tony Bennett was in the ODAC.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that'd be a hell of a story.
And he would build a program there. He would figure out how to win. He'd figure out how to win.
Larry Brown, the only head coach to win a national championship and an NBA title.
Yes.
The only one is Larry Brown. The San Antonio Spurs idea is a fantastic idea. Tony Bennett with Wemby, wow. Questions are coming in extremely quick. Viewers and listeners, we're going to do our best to get to all these questions here. I see 11, maybe 12 states watching the program right now on the Jerry and Jerry Show. This one is for Ralph. Why? This is a straightforward question. Okay. Why is the athletic department not utilizing your experience to help move it forward? It's a great question.
That's a question that, I mean, I told somebody the other day, I would be interested in, coming back and being a part of the fabric of the school, not just the athletic department. Like I said, I stayed 4 years, and I cherish the academic part of it with the name Virginia on it, right? And I have no clue why the athletic department or the school, and I know Mr. Ryan, President Ryan, is trying to do some things as well. I've been in conversation with them a little bit. But to come back to be an ambassador to the program and the school to push whatever initiatives that the school wants, I mean, I'd be in favor of that. But just like this other committee, and there's a private committee to pick the coach, whatever, you got the powers to be here that control the school, and I get that. I understand the politics, but it doesn't affect me one way or another to be a part or not be a part. But I think that should be at least respected in some ways, to be a part of the school in some way. But I could go on, but I'm just going to be very political myself about that and hold my true feelings to myself, because I don't. I got to live life and enjoy it, and I got some things happening right now we'll talk about in a minute that I want to help the school out with as well, and do what I can do, and maybe I can do better outside the school instead of inside the school. I don't know, but I'm gonna be around, so you can't hide 7-4. So I'm gonna be around with Terry Ratcliffe, and we're gonna hang out a little bit more and be good.
That is so true. That was very well answered by Ralph. Do you want to handle that question? You don't have to be political here, you want to handle that one.
I've always felt like that Ralph should be involved
Same.
with UVA, and I think it's a mistake that they haven't reached out more to him, and not just Ralph, but some of the other great athletes that have been here over the years, because some people just don't understand the sacrifice that these guys make. They have to go through the same rigors as the other students in terms of the academics and all that sort of stuff, but there's so much time and effort and blood and sweat and tears that are put into their craft. The average human being couldn't do that. And I don't think these guys ever get enough credit for that. And I think that it develops leadership and how to handle adversity, how to handle success. And I think that's all part of what makes some of our leaders great. And I think guys like him should be involved. I think it makes the university better. It happens in other schools. I don't know why it doesn't happen here.
Well, you have to realize, I mean, like Bobby Stokes, which I love to death. Dr. Bobby Stokes. I mean,
my doctor.
His doctor, yeah.
He's a great doctor here, still in the community. I think he could be utilized a lot more personally. Ricky's in town. Jimmy Miller's, in the game day, which I love to death.
Jeff Jones has a house here.
Jeff Jones now has a house here because, going back and forth there. So I love that he's back. Wally's back. Park Hill's back. Park Hill's been here forever, so it's great. So you got certain guys here, but I think you can mix and mingle with a lot more guys just to have them around. Think about this. When they imploded University Hall, you had the banners and the retired numbers and stuff like that and the rafters there. It's not until Tony Bennett won the national title that every retired number was on one banner when it opened, and now after the national title, everybody has their own banner. And you have the flags up there saying national title, and you have all the other stuff up there. I don't know why that happened all those years when you transferring one arena to the next, because maybe you didn't want the U-Haul history into the new John Paul Jones history. I don't know. But Tony made that change. Now you got Coach Holland's name up there. You probably have Tony's name up there as well. But it's changed over a period of time, and Tony Bennett, I feel, made that change, was able to make that change. And that's why one of the big reasons I appreciate him, because he made those changes where you go to a Carolina, I don't care if you're the water boy, you might get recognized at the game, or you damn sure recognized in the top of the building because you see all the great names up there. Yeah. Now, if I'm a kid being recruited into Carolina's gym or UVA gym, which one I'm going to like the best? From an aesthetic standpoint. And so Tony started to make those changes, I think, over the years. And it took him a while to do it, and he did it well. But think about Duke or even Wake or those schools, because if I'm going to take care of those players and I'm coming in, you might take care of me as well. So the history is, I think, important to, UVA athletics in general. But we got to weigh in on, would I want a North Carolina education or do I want a Virginia education? It's no choice. Virginia, I was looking at the thing, and Duke, Virginia, Carolina down, but in the top 10, 15 universities in the country, Virginia's like 6th or 7th academically. Stanford's number 1. But Virginia's like 5 or 6.
Use it. Right, it's a no-brainer.
Get that education and reach out to the people and get you something from the school academic-wise, because kids need to understand that you can make this NIL money, but guess what? You don't even know how to spend it. And your mom and dad's going to spend it before you even get it. And everybody's going to be broke when they finish, and they're going to have tax issues.
Right.
We got Darden, law school. We got all these other schools that can help those kids groom that. And there might be programs out there, I'm sure there are, that we work on, but I don't know how effective they are because I don't hear much about them.
Comments are coming in quickly. Hootie, thoughts on that? And you want me to get to the comments? I'll follow your lead here.
I just want to ask him a question that somebody sent in to me because it intrigued me, because I had never heard this. I thought I knew everything about Ralph, but this, and I don't know if this is true, but this guy says, ask Ralph about the September 1987 pickup game with Run DMC, Jam Master Jay, and some students and roadies, a classic. Did that happen?
I don't know where that was, but if it did, it may happen in 1987.
So we're talking Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullen?
It wouldn't have happened in 87, right?
That would happen. That's probably when I was in run TMC, yeah. So, yeah, Mitch Richmond. So I go in, I get traded from Houston to Golden State. I walk in. Check this out. I walk in 48 hours later after I got traded, walk into the arena. I walk in the arena, and Chris Washburn was being taken out of the arena in handcuffs.
Ooh.
Out for whatever he had to go through. We play the Lakers the first game, we get beat, and the lovely Chris Mullin, I love him to death, he takes this battle because he has some personal issues as well. So I lose 2 players from the jump. We have Manute Bol, Larry Smith, Terry Teagle, Jerome Whitehead. We have some guys cast the characters, and we had a coach. He'll come to me in a second. But Don Nelson was the general manager. So next year we get Tim Hardaway and Mitch Richmond. Now we got Run TMC with Hardaway, Mitchman, and Chris Mullin, and they were really, really good. And I was on that team, and we had some pickup games, and we had some other stuff. So that story is probably true in some ways. I don't remember where it is, but we played. Those guys, they wanted to play every day, and it could be downtown Oakland and a rec center to to the arena. But we wanted to play. We wanted to play every day, and that time was pretty fun to watch and be a part of. So that may be possible.
Yeah. That was an amazing team. That was a hell of a story right there. How about Mike Murphy says he's watching in Florida. You got 14 states watching us on the show right now, guys. This is the power of social media and streaming content online in digital capacities. This is a very intriguing comment. John, I'll add a little background to this here. Guys, thank you for keeping the conversation going. John Oliver and Craig Littlepage understood the challenges of academics and athletics at the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why they hired Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett came to UVA with a system. A system, in some ways, some folks call it gimmicky. I call it a strategy. I call it a strategy. How do you figure out to win in a rigorous academic setting? You need a strategy, a system. The question that's coming from Georgia is this: does it have to be another system head coach to win here, or can they play the free-flowing, up-tempo basketball we're seeing in the SEC? It's a hell of a question.
Is that person saying the SEC doesn't have strategy?
I think what they're saying is the SEC is a bit more athlete-based, a bit more up-tempo, a bit more easy on the eyes, where the University of Virginia, and I don't mind the strategy at all because, heck, we won games and won a national championship, was control the clock, limit possessions, and play the game in some ways in the proverbial quicksand.
Yeah, I mean, think about University of Houston, Kelvin Sampson's system. He has athletes.
Yes.
I'm talking about athletes. They haven't won. They compete and play. I love Kelvin Sampson to death. Don't get me wrong. But they haven't won. Right?
Same with Penny Hardaway.
You can get athletes and play to win. You got to have a defensive understanding of the game, period. And I always say that the art of the game is lost on the offensive side. The UCLA, John Wooden, all the art of the game is lost offensively. Run the lanes wide, get on a fast break. So I think you can have a combination of both where you can defensively be successful. But if you get to steal something, you need to run down the court and run it up the floor, right? Now, if you need to be a control set, you can be in a control set with an idea of what you need to do and how you need to, and be more efficient that way. So I think it's a combination of both what you can do, that you can mix and mingle both of them. And then when you have opportunities to run down and get an easy basket, I think you should do that. So I think you can do both.
What are your thoughts, Hootie? System basketball?
I think what Craig and John Oliver were thinking was that Virginia couldn't go head-to-head against Carolina and Duke for those players in recruiting and play that style of basketball successfully against those guys. So they felt like you had to have something different to throw people a curve that they had to prepare for and take extra time to prepare for. And then you might not be enough time to prepare for, which is clearly the case in many games. But I don't know. Yeah, I agree with Ralph. I think I think you can do both, and I think defense is very important. But I think they might have to up-tempo it a little bit more than what they've been doing. I don't know if that style is going to continue to fly, because the beauty of winning and all that under Tony was great, but I thought that style of play sometimes offensively allowed inferior teams to hang
stay in the
around
game.
too long.
Stay in the game. Yeah, they can stay.
Yeah, and also you have the transfer portal element where you're not going to have the longevity and consistency of roster to learn a system like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, these guys on this team right now, just they don't
know the system.
They don't get the pack line.
Yeah, they don't get the pack line. Right.
Yeah.
Comments are coming in quickly, guys. We're not going to be able to get to all these comments. We sincerely apologize to the viewers and listeners, but we appreciate you for making the program great.
We'll do it again one
Yeah.
day. Just keep them coming.
They're
come
coming
back.
quick. I definitely want to get what Ralph is up to and what his plans are here. But before we do, how about this, Ralph Sampson? State of the Union for Virginia basketball. Your thoughts on what we could expect in the next 90 days? I mean, does a head coaching hire before the season ends? Does it happen in March Madness? I mean, how does it play out? How does the transfer portal look? How does an NIL look? What's the role of Lowe Davis in the collective and all this? I mean, we haven't even gotten to that.
I mean, I love Lowe to death and what he's doing. Now that the collective and now it's internally, I guess, into the university as well with the new rules, it's going to change forever. It's going to keep changing. So that's another story we can come back to one day. But 90 days, I think you wait until there's going to be a game where, you either make or break and make the ACC tournament. So I think that's the first thing they will look at. If we make the ACC tournament, we might have to wait, but I'm sure everybody's banking they make the ACC tournament and they lose the first game. And then during the ACC tournament, you'll have a new coach, because I'm sure quietly on the table some of these interviews are going on, or these contacts are being made, right? Nobody's saying it,
Yeah.
but they got to be thinking about that, because you got to fix it. And then the portal opens up sometime in the next period of time, right? So you got to get in the portal real deep. So you got to have a coach coming in that's ready to make that happen. Now, if Rick comes in, he's got to have somebody already on his team that he knows or contact that knows that understand their portal. I'm sure he's smart enough to understand, because Rick's a smart guy, but he's got to understand the portal and got some people going to get some players. Now, Ryan is already there.
Yeah.
He knows the portal.
Ryan Odom.
He knows what's happening.
Yeah.
He's already got kids. He might get some kids transferred from VCU to where he's going. So I think he's got the little edge there from that. But Rick's smart, and Rick can come in and make those changes fairly quickly, right? I'm sure. So I think in the next 30 to 60 days you'll see some movement, especially right at the ACC tournament mark. I hope we can win a couple games, and Sanchez and them could go out on a win. It's sad to say it could be a loss, which is fine. But they'll bounce back. They coaches. They love the game of basketball. They'll land somewhere else, I'm sure. But you're going to have to make that change swiftly. As you said earlier, money is not an object, so you go out and hire a coach for whatever $1 million you want. But that coach is going to have to come in ready, no matter who it is. And like I said, Rick fits the model, but Rick doesn't have a staff of college coaches with him right now that we can see, but I'm sure he knows plenty of people that can help him out to make that change. And they'll come in and support it. And if Rick's, I'm gonna text him today and say I'll mention your name, so I'm gonna mess with him a little bit. But I'm sure
he'll say thanks for
yeah, he'll say thanks. He said I'm sure he's plotting if he wants to do that or not, right? He has to. He's got to do that. But we'll see. But it's gonna be you got to make that change swiftly. It can't last 3 or 4 or 5 months. You got to know what you're doing right now. And an AD typically, in my opinion, has a roster of coaches just in case every year we lose one.
That's the point you make.
You got to have somebody that's your first, second, third pick.
Yeah.
So if Carla has her roster of coaches that she may be looking at, but who's giving her the leeway to do it? Who's pulling her string to say this is what we want, because they got the money. So you gotta. It's a juggling act that you got to watch.
Yeah, you got to have a short list, and I think maybe they need a general manager, because if they had a general manager, they could be doing this right now
All day long. Yeah.
They could be looking for players.
I'll take that job, but you got to have. I mean, the general manager of football, general manager of basketball. You got to be in the portal. You got to be evaluating players. Coaches don't have that much time to do that.
Exactly.
They don't have the time to do it at all. You got to be going to get NIL money. I mean, you got to be doing something, right? And I've heard that's going to happen in college sports at some point in time.
Happened in Alabama right now.
Yeah.
Football programs got a GM.
Okay, well.
Yeah, $1 million a year.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
And all the general manager does is, like a pro general manager, is manage the roster and help assist the coach to optimize performance.
Yep.
I mean, that's maybe the time we're at there. Comments are coming in, viewers and listeners. We're trying to get to as many as possible here. We'd love to hear what Ralph's got planning. What do you got in the hopper, Ralph?
So you mentioned Low Davis and NIL, and then you said earlier that with 3 notches on the on the line there, whatever. We started with the restaurant, a Ralph's House Beer, and so we hopefully will work on that this year, get it canned, and put it out there. But everything I do has to give back, no matter what. So if it's with Boys and Girls Club or scholarship program, we have that. So you'll see soon we'll come back and do it as well. We're launching a Ralph's House Coffee in the next probably 30 or 40 days that has a NIL UVA give back model.
That's awesome.
And I have a pretty significant database of folks that if you buy the coffee, that if you mail market to go to the NIL, then we'll support UVA in the NIL program, right? So that's one thing we're doing. And everything I do is that way. We have a Legend series of coffee. Coach Holland will be the first. And we'll have so many of that. And the bags are already designed and made and with Coach Holland's signature. Ms. Holland gave us the okay to do that. So we'll have a Legend series. Maybe we'll get a Tony Bennett series. But anyway, it's all about give back and whatever to make that happen. So that's happening as we speak. And then I have also created the beer, coffee. There's the wine coming, same model. And then there is a strategic partnership company I called Samson Synergy Partners. And I've been in the telecom business for many, many years, so I'm going to do the same thing with that with NIL. And I've already got Oscar Robertson. I already got a number of universities already involved, and I will try to get UVA involved. But that money is serious money coming in to a Low Davis that can help facilitate this money that's needed for this NIL. So I think the lay of the land, you got to be a little different. You can't keep going on knocking on donors' doors and say, "Get me $100,000 and put 50 over here in a nonprofit, 50 over in NIL, and that's going to sustain itself and survive." That's not going to happen. You need $20 or $30 million to get this thing done, right? Now the school can cut budget a little bit and probably put some of that money in. That's a whole different animal, right? At this point, but you got to figure it out or create a way because donor weary is out there. And you can't keep knocking on the same people's doors. I love Barry Parker to death. He has his donors. I'm sure they get donors. Every year I come back to the same donors to get money. I don't know if that works, but they've been successful that way. But I do know the Ohio States and the big boys got plenty of money. We only have 250,000 plus alumni. Ohio State's got 750,000 alumni.
Yes.
It's a big difference. Just think about it. I mean, and I'm just a visionary. So if you got that 250,000 alumni, I'm not asking 50 of them for $100,000. I'm just asking you for $20 a month. It may add up quickly.
Yeah. Right? And with the $20 a month, you get delicious coffee.
Whatever you get.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
or just beer or wine.
Just to the NIL program.
I think it's a great idea.
So if I can get across the board to make that money, I'm just think it's 5,000 or 6,000 alumni athletes. Nobody will give but a few $100,000.
Yeah.
Those guys can give 10, 20, 30,000 a month.
Crowdsourcing micro donations to the betterment of the program.
It makes sense.
Through conscious capitalism.
Yes.
Conscious capitalism is a business that's run in the black with the charitable component associated with it.
All day long.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea.
All day long.
And then would you have the Legend series? You would have beer, wine, and coffee. So you want to go in the beverage space. And then how do the partners, the players that you're partnering with, do they work in the deal somehow as well?
Well, we're looking at certain strategic things like you can put a current player's name on it, but we want to work on the NIL first. Money going back to that so we can stockpile money to support that program, right? And then there might be some one-off with different players, and then we give that player that may be at the university, a Legends type bag, whatever that is, a current player, and they individually make money because understand there's kids that play sports at UVA that's getting no money, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's kids that's getting some money, but then you got kids getting a lot of money. So the kids get a lot of money don't need it. The ones that over here, the swimmer or the tennis player that's really doing well, you're not highlighting that player on the social media or TV or interviews, whatever, like they are the basketball, the football team. So that player deserves something as well. But we can do some fun things, and we're still researching that a little bit. But I'm across the board. I don't think it should be one player. I mean, me. if I was in the NL space right now with my players, all my players that I play with would make money.
Right.
Everybody would have made money.
Yeah.
You can't just leave me over here making money and not my teammates making money. That's unfair.
Yeah.
So every one of them's got to make money. That's the way I believe.
Rob Neal loves the program, says your tap room has the best friendly service in town every single time he goes there. So he's giving you some props.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
The Kamora Johnson's got a sandwich at Bel Air Market with Tiger Fuel. The market's at Tiger Fuel.
Yeah.
I could see what he's doing working perfectly for so many athletes. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
It's going to be
It's a
fun.
brilliant idea.
When's that coming?
I want to do it right, so I've been working on it for like the last 8 months.
Yeah.
And so sometime this spring, this will start happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Hootie Ratcliffe, phenomenal show.
Always is when Ralph's.
Always y'all guys are
visiting.
fun.
No
Yeah.
question.
This was an absolute blast. Viewers and listeners, if we didn't get to your comments, we'll humbly ask Ralph here, with the little pressure of the cameras, if you will kindly come back on the show.
Tell them to email you
Okay.
questions, and then we will set up another time to come back and do it again.
There we go.
And we'll take those questions first. But you got to email it to whatever email address you say.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Sounds
Hootie Ratcliffe for me. We'll take
good.
your emails. Hootie, thank you for setting this up.
That was fun. Always fun.
Absolutely. Ralph Sampson, ladies and gentlemen, the man needs no introduction. Neither does Hootie Ratcliffe, the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, who is going to go.
Yeah, you realize you got two Hall of Famers.
I
at
see
this
that.
table? We got to get you in some Hall of Fame.
I'm just trying to ride your coattails right now. I'm just riding your coattails.
We got to get you in some Hall of Fame. So
He's
good.
in so many Hall of Fames, he probably doesn't know them all.
You're 100% right. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Thank you kindly for watching the program, guys. It's archived wherever you get your social media or your podcasting content. One of the best shows we have ever done, featuring Hootie Ratcliffe and Ralph Sampson. Judah Wickower, the glue guy. The stats may not show up in the box score, but we don't win without the glue guy.
That's it.
And Judah Wickower, thank you kindly for being behind the camera. The I Love CVille show, ladies and gentlemen, up at 12:30. So long, everybody. Stand good. He's going to tell us when the mics and cameras are off. They will be off shortly.
Good.